Hello, and today we're going to be doing Cashflow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Chapter 9. Be the bank, not the banker. The rich create money. I have focused on the B portion of the formula, be, do, have, because without the proper mindset and attitude, you cannot be prepared for the great economic changes that are facing us today. By being someone with the skills and mindset of the right side of the Cashflow Quadrant, you will recognize the opportunities that arise from these changes and be prepared to do. This will lead you to have financial success. I remember a phone call I received from my rich dad in late 1986. Are you in real estate market or the stock market? He asked. Neither, I replied. Everything I've invested is in building my business. Good, he said. Stay out of all markets. Keep building your business. Something big is about to happen. That year, the U.S. Congress passed the Tax Reform Act of 1986. In just 43 days, Congress took away many of the tax loopholes that people can count on to shelter their income. For people who are using those passive losses from their income property as tax deductions, they suddenly still had their losses. But the government had taken away the tax deduction. All across America, real estate prices began to plunge. In some cases as much as 70%. Suddenly, property was worth far less than the amount of their mortgages. Panic swept the real estate market. Banks and savings and loans began to shake, and many failed. People could not get their money out of the banks. And then Wall Street crashed in October 1987. The world went into financial crisis. Fundamentally, the Tax Reform Act of 1986 eliminated many of the tax loopholes that the high-income E's and S's depended upon. Many of them had invested in real estate properties or limited partnerships in order to utilize any losses to offset their earnings from the E or S quadrants. And while the crash and recession did not affect people in the B and I quadrants, many of their tax avoidance mechanisms were still intact. During this period, E's learned a new word, downsizing. They soon realized that a major layoff was announced. The share price of the stock of the company announcing the layoff went up. Sadly, most did not understand why. There were also many S's struggling to cope with the recession that was caused by decreased business, higher insurance rates, and losses from the real estate and stock markets. As a result, I believe that individuals on the left side of the cash flow quadrant were financially hurt and suffered the most as a direct result of the Tax Reform Act of 1986. Transfer of wealth. While people on the left side were suffering, many people on the B and I side were getting rich, thanks to the government taking away from some people and giving to others. By changing the tax code, all the tax trick reasons for investing were taken away from people who are simply buying real estate to lose money. Many were high-income employees or professionals such as doctors, attorneys, accountants, and small business owners. Prior to this period, they had so much taxable income that their advisors told them to buy real estate to lose money, and then with any extra money, invest in the stock market. When the government took that loophole away with the Tax Reform Act, one of the most massive transfers of wealth began. In my opinion, much of the wealth was taken away from the E and S side and handed to the B and I side for pennies on the dollar. When the savings and loans, the organizations that used the bad loans, failed, billions of dollars in deposits were at risk. The money had to be paid back. So who was left to pay back the billions of dollars lost in savings and real estate foreclosures? Well, the taxpayers, of course. The very people who were already hurting enough as it was. Some of you may remember a governmental agency called the Resolution Trust Corporation, or the RTC, as it was commonly known. The RTC was the agency responsible for taking the foreclosures from the real estate crash and transferring them to people who knew how to handle them. For me and many of my friends, it's like a blessing from financial heaven. Remember that this money is seen with the mind, not the eyes. During this period of time, emotions ran high and vision was blurred. People saw what they were trained to see. Three things happened to people on the left side of the cash flow quadrant. Panic was everywhere. When emotions are high, financial intelligence often disappears. People were so concerned about their jobs, the falling value of their property, the crash of the stock market, and the general slowdown of business that they failed to see the massive opportunities right in front of them. Their emotional thoughts blinded them. Instead of moving forward and beating the bushes, most people went into their caves and hid. Number 2. They lacked the technical skills required on the B&I side. Just as a doctor must have technical skills developed from years of schooling and then from on-the-job training, people in the B&I quadrants must also possess highly specialized technical skills. These include financial literacy, how to restructure debt, how to structure an offering, how to raise capital, understanding your market, and other learnable skills. When the RTC said, "We have a banker's box for sale, and in it is the property that used to be worth $20 million, but you can have it today for $4 million." Most Easonesses didn't have a clue about how to raise the $4 million to buy the gift from financial heaven, or know how to recognize the good deals from the bad. Number 3, they lacked the cash machine. Most people during this period had to work harder just to survive. By operating as a B, my business could expand with little physical effort on my part. By 1990, my business was up and running and growing. During this period, the business grew up from a start-up to 11 offices worldwide. The more it expanded, the less physical work I had to do, and the more money came in. The system and the people in the system were working hard. With the extra money and free time, Kim and I were able to spend a lot of time looking at deals, and there were many of them. Okay, so I hope you liked that. If you did, please like and subscribe. Bye!